And we're back with the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show. And tonight we have a special Get Schooled by Polmar segment. I was racking my brain all week trying to, how do I make, a Halloween themed school type lecture? And I figured it out. Tonight's subject is social studies, because I couldn't think of a more definitive term for it. So we'll go social studies. And the topic is Halloween around the world, because it's celebrated differently. There's different traditions and customs all over the place. A lot of different traditions and customs. So that's what we're going to learn about tonight. So, first of all, Halloween started in Ireland, and there it's celebrated much like it is in the United States. In rural areas, bonfires are lit, as they were centuries ago, and all over the country, children get dressed up in costumes and spend the evening trick-or-treating in their neighborhoods. After trick-or-treating, most people attend parties with neighbors and friends. At the parties, many games are played, including Snap Apple, a game in which an apple on a string is tied to a door frame or tree, and players attempt to bite the hanging apple. In addition to that, they bob for apples. Parents often arrange treasure hunts with candy or pastries as the treasure. The Irish also play a card game where cards are laid face down on a table with candy or coins underneath them. When a child loses a card, he receives whatever prize is, or when a child chooses a card, not loses, chooses, he receives whatever prize is below it. Traditional food eaten on Halloween in Ireland is barnbrack, a kind of fruitcake that can be bought in stores or baked at home. A Muslim wrap treat is baked inside the cake that, it is said, can foretell the eater's future. If a ring is found, it means that the person will soon be wed. A piece of straw means that a prosperous year is on its way. Children are also known to play tricks on their neighbors, such as knock-a-dolly, a prank in which children knock on the doors of their neighbors but run away before the door is opened. In Austria, some people will leave bread, water, and a lit lamp on a table before going to bed on Halloween night. It was once believed that these would welcome the dead souls back to Earth on a night that Austrians considered to be magical. The Belgians believe that it is unlucky for a black cat to cross one's path, and also unlucky if it should enter a home or travel on a ship. The custom in Belgium on Halloween night is to light candles in memory of dead relatives. Modern Halloween celebrations in Canada began with the arrival of Scottish and Irish immigrants in the 1800s. Jack-o'-lanterns are carved, and the festivities include parties, trick-or-treating, decorating of homes. Just like in the United States. In China, the Halloween festival is known as Tang-Chi. Food and water are placed in front of photographs of family members who have departed, while bonfires and lanterns are lit in order to light the paths of the spirits as they travel to Earth on Halloween night. Worshippers in Buddhist temples fashion boats of the law from paper, some of which are very large, which are then burned in the evening hours. The purpose of this custom is twofold, as a remembrance of the dead and in order to free the spirits from the pretas in order that they might ascend to heaven. Pretas are the spirits of those who have died as a result of an accident or drowning and whose bodies were consequently never buried. The presence of pretas among the living is thought by the Chinese to be dangerous. Under the guidance of Buddhist temples, societies are formed to carry out ceremonies for the pretas, which includes the lighting of lanterns. Monks are invited to recite sacred verses, and offerings of fruit are presented. In Czechoslovakia, chairs are placed by the fireside on Halloween night. There is one chair for each living family member and one for each family member's spirit. Now, in England, while the Irish and Scots preferred turnips, English children made punkies out of large beets, which they call beetroots, upon which they carved a design of their choice, much like a jack-o'-lantern and a pumpkin. Then they would carry their punkies through the street while singing the Punky Night song as they knocked on doors and asked for money. Halloween became Guy Fawkes Night and moved a few days later, but recently it has been celebrated on October 31st in addition to Guy Fawkes Night. In some areas, some rural areas, turnip lanterns were placed on gateposts to protect homes from the spirits who roam the Halloween night. Another custom was to toss objects such as stones, vegetables, and nuts into a bonfire to frighten away the spirits. These symbolic sacrifices were also used as fortune-telling tools. If a pebble thrown into the flames at night was no longer visible in the morning, then it was believed that the person who tossed the pebble would not survive another year. If nuts tossed into the fire by young lovers then exploded, it signified a quarrelsome marriage. For the most part, however, the English ceased celebrating Halloween with the spread of Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation. Since followers of the new religion did not believe in saints, they saw no reason to celebrate the Eve of All Saints' Day. However, in recent years, the American trick-or-treating custom, together with the donning of costumes for going door to door, has become a relatively popular pastime among English children at Halloween, although many of the adults, particularly the older generations, have little idea as to why they are being asked for sweets, and are usually ill-prepared to accommodate their small and hopeful callers. Now in France, they call it La Fête d'Halloween. Unlike most nations in the world, Halloween is not celebrated by the French in order to honor the dead and departed ancestors. It is regarded as an American holiday in France and was virtually unknown to the country until around 1996. A combination of the French love of parties, fêtes, and costume events, and some simple crass commercialism has led to the rapid rise of the holiday in France. The French had been hearing about Halloween from foreign residents and tourists, and in their English classes for years before the holiday ever showed its face in France. In 1982, the American Dream Bar restaurant in Paris began celebrating Halloween. At first, they had to explain the holiday to each customer, but since about 1995, French customers have tended to be more and more familiar with Halloween. The Mask Museum in Saint-Hilaire-Saint-Florent was opened by Caesar Group in 1992, and the owners started working to expand Halloween in France the following year. In 1996, the village of Saint-Germain-en-Laye held a Halloween party on October 24th in the middle of the day to give locals an idea of what it was about. Meanwhile, companies like France Telecom, McDonald's, Disney, Coca-Cola began using pumpkins and other Halloween images and ideas in publicity campaigns. This simultaneously increased French people's knowledge about Halloween and made it seem like another imposition of American culture. Generally, Halloween in France is usually celebrated by costume people of all ages going to parties, bars, clubs. The costumes themselves tend to be, traditionally scary, like mummies, ghosts, goblins, witches, vampires, rather than the cute costumes like princesses and superheroes and cartoon characters that we here have in the U.S. Trick-or-treating in France is extremely rare. When it does exist, it is not from house to house, but from store to store. Alright, moving on here across the border. In Germany, the people put away their knives on Halloween night. The reason for this is because they do not want to risk harm to or from the returning spirits. That's pretty fucked up. The German people are afraid their ghosts are gonna come fucking stab them. What the hell's going on in Germany? Jesus. The Halloween celebration in Hong Kong is known as Yulan, Festival of the Hungry Ghosts, and is a time when it is believed that spirits roam the world for 24 hours. Some people burn pictures of fruit or money at this time, believing these images would reach the spirit world and bring comfort to the ghosts. Fires are lit and food and gifts are offered to placate potentially angry ghosts who may be looking for revenge. Now, Japan does not have, they don't celebrate a Western-style Halloween. While most people here know a little about Halloween in the U.S., with the costumes, parties, trick-or-treating, very few know exactly when or how it's celebrated. The Japanese celebrate the Obon Festival, which is also known as Matsuri or Uraban, and pronounced Obon, so I pronounced it, or it's not Obon, it's Obon, my bad, which is similar to Halloween festivals in that it is dedicated to the spirits of ancestors. Special foods are prepared and bright red lanterns are hung everywhere. Candles are lit and placed in the lanterns, which are then set afloat on rivers and seas. During the Obon Festival, a fire is lit every night in order to show the ancestors where their families might be found. Obon is one of the two main occasions during the Japanese year when the dead are believed to return to their birthplaces. Traditionally, in rural areas where grave sites are in the neighborhood, the pathway from graves to the home is swept clean and a general house cleaning is also done. Then, on the 13th, an altar is set up with various food offerings and welcoming fires in front of the house and along the path to guide the welcoming spirits, or to guide and welcome the spirits. People may even hire a priest to come and chant prayers. On the evening of the 15th, send-off fires are lit and the spirits return to their graves. People who spend Obon away from their ancestral homes or live in the city usually just make a little token fire on their veranda or patio. Memorial stones are cleaned and community dances performed. The Obon Festival takes place during July or August, actually, not even October. Alright, let's see here. In Korea. Well, I'm assuming it's probably South Korea. I don't know what they do in North Korea. But in Korea, the festival, similar to Halloween, is known as Chuseok. It is at this time that families thank their ancestors for the fruits of their labor. The family pays respect to these ancestors by visiting their tombs and making offerings of rice and fruits. The Chuseok festival takes place in the month of August, just like the Japanese one does. Now, as far as Mexico, Latin America, Spain, among New World Spanish-speaking nations, particularly Mexico and Aztec-influenced Latin America, Halloween is known as El Dia de los Muertos, the Days of the Dead, a 3-day celebration that begins in the evening of October 31st and culminates on November 2nd. This is an ancient festivity that has been transformed throughout the years. It was originally intended in prehistoric Mexico to celebrate children and the dead. Mexican families remember their dead in the continuity of life. It is a joyous and happy day, a time to remember friends and family who have died. Officially commemorated on November 2nd, All Souls Day, the 3-day celebration actually begins on the evening of the 31st. Designed to honor dead who are believed to return to their homes on Halloween, many families construct an altar in their home and decorate it with candy, flowers, photographs, fresh water. Well, I don't know how fresh water is in Mexico, but fresh water and samples of the deceased's favorite food and drinks. Frequently, a basin and towel are left out in order that the spirit can wash prior to indulging in the feast. Candles and incense are burned to help the departed find his or her way home. On November 2nd, relatives gather at the gravesite to picnic and reminisce. Relatives also tidy the grave sites of deceased family members, including snipping weeds, making repairs, painting. The grave is then adorned with flowers, wreaths, paper streamers. They bring picnics and sit around the grave sites, sharing stories of the departed and feasting on foods such as spicy meat dishes, batter bread, and lots of sweets, some shaped like skulls. The abundance of food, drink, and good company creates a festive atmosphere, along with recognizing the cycle of life by the interaction of the living with the dead. Some of these gatherings may even include tequila and a mariachi band, although American Halloween customs are gradually taking over this celebration. In Mexico, during the autumn, countless numbers of monarch butterflies return to the shelter of Mexico's Oyamel fir trees. It was this belief of the Aztecs that these butterflies bore the spirits of dead ancestors. In the villages, parades are held. People dress as skeletons and dance in the streets. Often a live person is placed inside a coffin, which is then paraded through the streets while vendors toss fruit, flowers, and candies into the casket. Home feasts are held and loaves of bread of the dead, are given. Inside the loaves are sugar skeletons or other items of death motif. This gift is more prized if the skull or skeleton is embossed with one's own name. The families also attend a candlelit ceremony in church and offer prayers. The whole celebration is about life from beginning to end. And then finally in Sweden, Halloween is known as Alla Helgons Dag. I don't speak. I think I got that. Alla Helgons Dag? I don't know. And it is celebrated from October 31st until November 6th, so it's a full week. As with many other holidays, Allhelgonsdag has an evening which is either celebrated or becomes a shortened working day. The Friday prior to All Saints' Day is a short day for universities, while school-age children are given a day of vacation. So that's cool. They get off school over there for Halloween. Nice. But alright, there you have it. Kind of a good look at, Halloween customs around the world. I'll still try to get some sort of a note board type thing up online. I mean, why not? Maybe some other little useful information for you. I know tonight was just more about maybe some fun facts than anything else, but I think we all still learned something, though, I think. But that's going to wrap up the lecture for the evening. So we're going to go ahead, take us out to some music. So sit tight, we'll be back here in a few moments with the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show.
What's up, everyone? I'm Polmar.
And I'm Trippy Two-Face.
And we're the hosts of the Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show.
You can catch us every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Hatchet Radio.
We'll be bringing you all the freshest in underground music news, interviews, featured artists, and so much more.
With a special focus on the 716 and beyond. This is the official broadcast of Buffalo Juggalos.
Come scope us out at hatchetradio.net and hit us up at facebook.com/Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show.
We have tons of contests and giveaways coming up on our page.
So don't sleep on
The Buffalo Juggalo Radio Show, Saturdays at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Only on Hatchet Radio. Holding down the 716 Buffalo.